Likelihood that this changes anything from the Cavs' perspective?
I don't think it changes anything at all. I know that they want to get a playmaking point guard. That's still their number one objective. But any move at this point to try to shore up what you have in the short term for Kevin Love would be a very short-sighted move. The reality is that they don't need home court advantage. They don't need to have the best record in the East. They need to have all hands on deck when they get to April, May, and June. And they have that by virtue of once you have come back from being down 3-1 in the NBA Finals, there is nothing that you collectively can't overcome. And I still believe if they have everybody, if Love is back, J.R. Smith is back, regardless of who they get as a backup point guard, that they're capable of beating the Golden State Warriors.
I completely agree with you. And what they just need fillers. They just need guys to kind of push them to the finish line of the regular season. Fair?
Yeah, no, I think, and I would say, don't worry about, be cautious about playing LeBron a ton of minutes just to maintain your spot. I mean, they don't need time. They don't need synchronicity. They don't need a particular seed. They don't need home court advantage. They just need to have everybody together when the time comes to play the stiffer competition. And even the first round, I say April, May, and June. It's probably May because chances are whoever they face in the first round in the Eastern Conference is they could beat them right now.
Okay, so what ultimately happens with Melo?
I don't think Melo goes anywhere at the moment. I would expect that that's going to be an off-season trade because the big part here is what the Knicks have to get back, what they're seeking, and I don't know ultimately if they get it. I mean, what they're really seeking is they want a 2017 first-round pick that might give them the opportunity at some of the franchise talent that is in this draft. Now, that may be shooting very, very high and beyond what they're capable of getting, but you don't really know what you're getting until the draft lottery. And if you're not getting that, then what else are you getting? My whole issue with this is Phil Jackson poisoned the waters with Carmelo Anthony in the midst of the season at a time when they were firmly entrenched. It was early, but firmly entrenched in a playoff spot. And then, the conversation comes out about Carmelo being a ball stopper, and this goes sideways. You can convince the guy. You can work on letting the guy know he's not wanted and, we'd like to send you someplace else, but don't sacrifice this season in doing it. And now that you have, wherever this goes, I would say, you're going to make a short-sighted trade. You're going to make a trade just to get him moved by the trade deadline. What? To salvage this season? I would rather wait until after the season and make a deal where Clippers have a better sense of what Blake Griffin is doing. Clippers, depending on what happens with them in the postseason, there's a lot of things that could change the mood and the temperament of some of the people that you're dealing with that might allow you to get back a little bit more for Carmelo. Carmelo might actually look as a savior for somebody in the offseason as opposed to right now where it's almost like they're doing the Knicks a favor by taking him off their hands. Right.
Knicks will be in a more position of strength, even though there's 1 year left on his deal. Ric Bucher, can you hear him on Mad Dog Radio as well as a Bleacher Report senior writer, long time covering the NBA, joining us in the Doug Gottlieb Show here on CBS Sports Radio. Do you have any idea what did Charles Oakley do before we saw the interaction between him and the security guards?
I have not heard anything remotely close to what James Dolan has suggested that he did, which is that he came into the building just like a raving maniac, screaming and yelling at everyone. And I take great exception, particularly to the innuendo, the casual innuendo that he was intoxicated, that he was drinking alcohol, that he was starting fights, that he may be an alcoholic. It is outrageous that if any of that was the case, then shouldn't he have been charged with public intoxication? If that was part of the equation. So because of that, everything else that James Dolan has said that Charles Oakley did raises great questions in my mind, if any of it is true. And I'll go back, Doug, and you probably already addressed this, but I'll go back to 2007 when Anuka Brown-Sanders was sued Isaiah Thomas and James Dolan for sexual harassment. James Dolan for allowing it to happen. She won $11.6 million in that suit. James Dolan's response and answer to her accusations, she pretty much made them up. Isn't that the same? Isn't that from the same playbook that he played with Charles? I guess Charles has said that's happened with James. None of that's true. That's pure fiction.
Well, Buke, the only thing I would say though is they met with the commissioner. Oakley says, and there's no more ban. And Oakley's like, look, I want a public apology. He hasn't apologized. If it was true that he wasn't doing any of this stuff, wouldn't the commissioner have made him apologize? Isn't that what Adam Silver would have made him do?
The difficulty here is that the control that Adam has is he can't. His ability to make an owner do anything without the backing of the other owners is pretty limited. I mean, James Dolan has done enough, and this is my issue, is James Dolan has done enough in my mind to ruin and mishandle that franchise and bring embarrassment upon it, close enough to what Donald Sterling did, that at this point, if I'm another owner, I'm looking at James Dolan, and I know they protect their own, and it's the boys club, and if we penalize this guy for doing this, man, now they might look in my closet or they might hold me to the same. I understand why they're very slow in punishing their own, but this is just bad business. I mean, this is egregious, embarrassing business. And we're talking about, I mean, the Knicks are a laughing stock. And for however bad they've been in the past, they haven't, I don't know that they've had their embarrassing moments. It's all been under James Dolan's watch. Like, at what point do you say that market is too big, that team is too beloved, the money that we can make is too great to have an owner who is creating situations like this? And let's make no mistake, Doug, James Dolan created that situation, whether we go all the way back to his never acknowledging Charles, as Charles says, or the fact that you're going to send 6 or 7 security guards at Charles Oakley. Any fan, any average person on the street who follows the NBA, and you ask them, you send 7 guys at Charles Oakley, how do you think he's going to respond to that?